This is Austin with One Wheel Parts, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install the Ignite lift kit. So right out of the bag, let's go through what this lift kit's going to include. We've got the two actual lifting portions, two backer plates, and two sets of screws corresponding one for each lift kit side. So the first thing we're going to need to do is, if you have existing rail guards, we are going to have to cut and modify them so that the lift kit sits flush with the rail. So what we do here, I find it's easiest to go ahead and just unscrew one side and work on the bottom rail guard if you have that first. That way the side rail guard will line up perfectly. So go ahead and line up the lift kit with the holes on the rail and mark the bottom of your rail guard on both sides, and then we can go about removing it. I find it's easiest to go along with a razor blade and sort of saw at it a little bit. Don't go too deep, you might scratch your rail. And then we're going to pry it up with a flathead screwdriver and just remove it. For the side rail guards, what I find is easiest is to go ahead and mount the lift kit to the side of it. So we'll take one of our little baggies of screws and we're going to locate the longer ones out of the two, and we're going to mount it with these two longer screws. So go ahead, take your lift kit, go ahead and align it with the holes and screw it down. We're not trying to mount this permanently, so don't torque them down or anything, just finger tight is going to be fine. And what I find is easiest is, if you want to remove the lift kit to saw and cut the rail guard with like a Dremel or something, you can go ahead and mark it with a marker or a pen. I find it's easier to just get a razor blade and sort of saw at it while it's mounted to the actual rail. Careful not to go too deep with the razor blade. It's okay to go over it multiple times to be sure. You can also tilt the board a little bit and look at the actual rail guard to see how deep your blade is going. That way, if you're worried about scratching your rail, you don't have to worry about that with going too deep. Here I can see it's pretty much all the way through. So once we've done that on both sides of our rail guard, I find it's easiest to dismount it and pry this rail guard up and snap it off with a flathead screwdriver. And once it's snapped off, a lot of the times the adhesive is going to try and stick. You can just cut that off with a razor blade. Once we've modified our rail guards, let's go ahead and start installing this thing. So we're going to need to remove the T-plates from the axle with a Phillips head screwdriver here on both sides. That way we can allow the axle to rotate. Then, once we've removed the T-plates, we'll go ahead and remove the cable shields on both sides as well. This is going to free up the wires, allow them to become looser, so that we can flip the axle upside down and install this lift kit properly without straining the cables. So go ahead and remove all 4 hub bolts here. Once you get down to the last one, the board is going to sag a little bit, so go ahead and support it on the nose, that way it doesn't just fall down immediately. This is going to be the trickiest part to installing this lift kit. So as you can see here, everything is still plugged in, but all the axles are loose. What we're going to need to do, since the board is upside down, we're going to rotate that axle to be upside down with it here, just like that. Shouldn't give you resistance unless you still have one of the T-plates mounted. We'll go ahead and send it down, align everything up, and we're going to drop the board down through it, just like that. So watch this cable that connects the battery to the controller. We're just going to flip it over the axle, and now it mounts back perfectly with the axle upside down. So now we can get started with mounting the lift itself. So go ahead and just rest the board on the ground, the table, wherever you're installing it. And we're going to go ahead and install the hub bolts to the lift kit. These are going to be using the shorter ones, not the longer ones. And just go ahead and screw them down finger tight. We don't want them super tight right now, as we're going to be tightening them down later. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. As we can see here, the cable still has a little bit of slack, so it is alright to rest the board on the table or ground. If you don't feel comfortable with it, you can elevate it on a book or something like that. Now we can go ahead and flip the board over and install our backer plate and our cable shield T-plates. So we'll just take our T-plates, go ahead, install them like you normally would, and we'll be ready for the backer plates. For the backer plates, all we gotta do is slap the backer plate on there and screw them on down. And that should do it. We have now successfully installed the Ignite lift kit. All that we need to do now is go ahead and install our cable shields back on, and we'll be ready to ride. And now you're ready to go with a fully installed Ignite lift kit. And I know what you guys are wondering. Yes, you can install it upside down to be a lowrider. So whether you like to ride low or high, the Ignite lift kit is the solution for you. This has been Austin with One Wheel Parts. Be sure to head on over to onewheelparts.com for all your one wheel and accessory needs.